What do you get if you cross one principal with another principal? Don't try it. Principals don't like to be crossed. Janine was waiting for me downstairs. She was dressed in white ribbed tights, black ankle boots, a black skirt, and a white cotton sweater. The second she saw me, her face turned red and she looked down at her shoes. I started to laugh. I couldn't help myself. Janine blushed even more. "What's black and white and red all over?" I asked her. Janine looked up and gave me a suspicious look. "A newspaper?" "No, you," I said. "You look like a sunburned penguin." Janine looked down at herself. "I was doing research on comedy, and Lucille Ball from I Love Lucy said the comedian should wear black and white. Do I look like a dork?" I'm not one to talk. I opened my jacket and showed her my tie. "Cool tie," said Janine. "You look good in a tie. It's cute." I looked at her. "Too cute?" I asked worriedly. "Nah," said Janine. She punched me lightly on the arm, and we both giggled. When we got to school, we went directly to the auditorium to make sure that everything was set up. Mr. Matus greeted us. As soon as he saw us, he started to laugh. "Did you two plan your outfits?" he asked. "No way," Janine and I said in unison. I checked the microphones to make sure they worked. Janine and Mr. Weinstein put up a huge computer banner that read, "The Great Laugh-Off." Dr. Deal came bustling backstage. I cringed. I couldn't tell if it was because I was nervous or if it was just a natural reaction to being around the principal. "Bobby, you look great," said Dr. Deal enthusiastically. "You look wonderful in a tie. You should be proud of yourself. I've never seen the school so excited for an assembly. We even have members of the school board coming." My stomach turned into a hard knot. "You know," said Dr. Deal, rubbing her hands, "I'm actually nervous. It's strange. I speak before audiences all the time, but today I'm nervous." "That's natural," I said. "All comics are nervous before they go on. It's what makes them good. My books say to find a quiet place and breathe deeply for a minute." "Do you read books about this?" asked Dr. Deal. "Yeah," I said. I didn't like the way Dr. Deal sounded shocked that I might actually read a book on my own. "You shouldn't be surprised," said Mr. Matus, defending me. "Bobby takes comedy very seriously. That's why I gave him this assignment." Dr. Deal looked at me as if maybe I wasn't the all-time loser she thought I was. In fact, if I dare say it, she looked at me with a little respect. "Well," said Dr. Deal, "I'm about to make the announcement that the children can come to the auditorium. Bobby, do you need more time?" I felt like I could use another year to get ready, but really there wasn't anything left to do. Time was racing. All that preparation, and now the great laugh-off was finally here. "We're ready," I said. Janine grabbed my arm. "Bobby, do you believe it? It's really happening." I looked down at my tie. All the little faces were frowning at me. Grandma and Mom hadn't realized that from the point of view the guy wearing the tie, it was all frowns. I tried to put the frowns out of my mind. "I think I may throw up," I said to Janine. From behind the curtain, we could hear the kids file into the auditorium. Dancing elephants probably would have made less noise. Now, instead of time racing, it felt like it was crawling. I felt as if I were in a science experiment, proving that Einstein was right. Everything is relative. Speaking of relatives, I peeked through the curtains. I saw my parents sitting in the front row. Now I really felt sick. Mr. Matus came up to me backstage. I felt as if my feet had grown roots into the floor. "Bobby, it's time to start," said Mr. Matus. "Are you ready?" "Ready to throw up," I muttered. Dr. Deal took the microphone. She sounded breathy, not at all the way she normally sounded. She made a few announcements, then she said, "And now, I'd like to introduce the organizer of this event, Bobby Garrick." Janine pushed me out onto the stage. The lights were so bright I could hardly see anything. I looked down at my tie again. The little frowning faces seemed to be glowing, like aliens. I took the microphone. It squeaked. Great beginning. "Welcome to the Great Laugh-Off," I said. Nobody laughed. Waiting for my first laugh was horrible. I blinked. As kids, we're always getting in trouble for laughing in class, but not today. That got a little laugh, although I knew it wasn't very funny. I think the audience was as nervous as I was. One laugh stood out from all the others. I looked out at the audience. Jimmy was standing in the back. I swallowed hard. I continued. "Anyhow, today you get to laugh all you want in school. Your laughter will determine the winner of our laugh-off. Teachers and students are going to tell you their best jokes. At the end, the teacher who gets the most laughs and the kid who gets the most laughs will come back before you in a final laugh-off. and we'll find out who's the funniest person in this school. So, if you're ready to laugh, I'll introduce our first contestant. It's our one and only principal, Dr. Deal. By the way, you might want to know what you get if you cross one principal with another principal. The answer is, don't try it. Principals don't like to be crossed. I had decided to deal with the 800-pound gorilla problem by putting Dr. Deal first. Dr. Deal took the microphone from me. After an introduction like that, I can only say, she paused, Bobby, wait until I get you alone. I swallowed hard. Was I really in trouble? I thought the joke about crossing one principal with another was funny. I quickly walked off stage. I'm kidding, said Dr. Deal, looking off stage at where I was standing in the wings. She actually smiled at me. I think it's wonderful what Bobby Garrick has done. But seriously, folks, I'm the principal of the school, she announced. At least whenever my secretary allows me to be. There were a few titters from the audience. It sounded as if nobody was sure if that was a joke. I was drenched in sweat. I listened to Dr. Deal continue. A vicious dog snapped at me in the street this morning. I stood in front of him and shouted, "Go!" The dog ran away. Are you an animal trainer? Somebody asked me. No, I'm a principal, I said. Dr. Deal got a small laugh. She paused and looked out at the audience. I can see that I've got an audience here who doesn't mind attention. There were a few nervous giggles. Nobody was really sure if she was kidding. Thank you all very much, said Dr. Deal. At least she knew enough to get off the stage. She was breathing hard. She stared at me. Bobby, you were great doing your introduction. You got more laughs than I did, and I thought my jokes were good. She looked angry, as if maybe she wanted to vaporize me for getting more laughs than she did. Was I going to get in trouble for being funnier than the principal? What had I let myself in for? Dr. Deal took a deep breath. She seemed to pull herself together. I thought she was reminding herself that she was the person in charge, and I knew she liked being in charge. Maybe comedy isn't my thing, she said. I'm going to go sit in the audience now. Good luck. The good luck surprised me.